Hey guys, Magnus Robert here, bringing you another video. This one we're going to be doing a video talking about my top 10 non-playable characters I think they need to add into the course of The Simpsons Tapped Out. Now, there's a lot of non-playable characters that I kind of have taught, and I've done this list before, by the way. This is a list I did like nearly 2 years ago, or it might actually be 2 years ago, where I talked about kind of playable characters. They could be playable. That's the thing. Essentially, what I'm doing is I'm doing non-playable characters, but I'm not completely. There's some which I'm not completely. I wouldn't be completely annoyed with if they gave them tasks, and I'll talk about them when I get there. But like, I'm not. I wouldn't be too bothered if they gave us tasks with one or two of these characters. But, I mean, for the most part, these are like the top 10 non-playable characters that they need to give us in Tapped Out. I just want to say I have changed my list from, obviously, like 2 years ago. Of course, in that list, my number one was Maggie. I thought that maybe they should have not Maggie as a playable or non-playable. But I wouldn't have been too bothered if she was non-playable. But, of course, now she's in the game, she is playable. Which, to be fair, actually, thinking back, I probably prefer her being playable than non-playable, just because she's a Simpsons character. But yeah, Maggie was my number one, so that kind of like, so my number one's been knocked off, and there's a few others. There's one that I haven't included on this list, though. It's Lady. I was rewatching the episode. I really don't like the dog, to be honest. This is just a dog, like a female dog who's taking on the police force. I really think the episode's kind of boring, so I kind of knocked her off the list. I feel kind of bad, but at the same time, screw her. She'll be at number 11. She's number 11. Anyway. Number 10 is Duff McShark. Now, this character could be a decoration. I'm not going to say he couldn't. He could just very well be a decoration. Like the Screamer Pillar, for example. We've got the Screamer Pillar in the game now, but the Screamer Pillar is not a character. It's just a decoration that we got in the Secret Agents. And I'm okay with that, I guess. It was a kind of small thing, so it doesn't really make much difference to me. But Duff McShark would be quite hard to obviously make as a character, because he'd have to be a character that could honestly go in the sea. But I think it would be a really, really cool character, really, really unique character, and I think people would really enjoy it. Just a little shark swimming around your boats in the ocean. I don't know why. I think it would just be really, really cool. Of course. But again, he very could just be a decoration that you place down, and of course, maybe you tap him and he, like, I don't know, he goes under and he resurfaces with the Duff barrel, possibly. And then we have number 9 is Linguo. So Linguo is, of course, the little robot, the robot who corrects grammar and spelling, which is kind of funny because he actually is quite bad at it. But it's a robot that Lisa made, pretty cute little robot. Of course, the robot kind of dies at the end of the episode, sort of thing, but they could add him anyway. It's like, but I don't know, I think he would be a really, really cool character. I've talked about him in like a nerds event idea, but that kind of nerd event idea is kind of been underpinned now that they've given us the university nerds. But at the same time, they could still do the update and give us, some other guys like Linguo. Linguo could be non-playable again. I guess he could have tasks. I would probably prefer if Linguo didn't have tasks. He just had some funny animations when you tapped him. I think that'd be better anyway. Number 8 is Sir Oinks-A-Lot. Now, this is one I'm kind of argued, like, whether or not you should have tasks. Maybe you could have tasks, maybe you couldn't. But, again, it's another university thing. Of course, this was another thing I thought should have been added in the Nerds event. Of course, this is the pig at the Springfield University. Well, actually, no, I think they steal it. It's like the mascot for the other university, and they steal it, and they dress it up, I think. Something like that. And obviously, it's like a really important pig, and people see it as kind of as an icon. I think it would be a funny little non-playable character to give us, obviously, in the jersey and the hat. I think that would be pretty cool. Just him waltzing around, maybe you tap him and he does something, or how he bites Homer and stuff like that. And you maybe could give Homer a task, like cuddle him and he bites him or something like that. That'd be kind of cool. So yeah, Sir Oinks-A-Lot. Number 7 is Lou the Cow. I think this is a perfect contender for a Valentine's Day update. And you're probably thinking, why the hell would you give us a cow for Valentine's Day? Well, of course, he kind of coincides with the Mary Sprockler kind of episode. So I want them to do an episode tie-in for the Mary Sprockler episode. Of course, maybe for both of the Mary Sprockler episodes, the original one and the one we got where she's obviously in New York. I think that would be kind of cool if they did like 2 of them, or they could just do 1. I wouldn't be too bothered. But I think what would be cool if Mary Sprockler was the non-premium, maybe Lou the Cow could be the premium character for Valentine's Day, and maybe there could be another one on top of that, I guess. There could be 3 characters, that'd be cool. But Lou the Cow, I really definitely want as a character. I think he is awesome. He'd be a cool non-playable character. He doesn't have to be playable. Obviously, he does get kind of fat, doesn't he? So maybe he could have tasks. I don't know, but I wouldn't be too bothered if he was non-playable. Just a cool one to throw in there. And number 6, now this is the one that kind of I knocked Lady, and I was thinking I was going to put her kind of lower. I was like, where should I put her? Lady was originally number 6, and I was thinking, where should I put her? Should I knock off Duff McShark? And I was like, you know what? I want Lady more than Duff McShark. I want Duff McShark more than Lady. So I unfortunately knocked her off the list completely. But Nibbles took her place, so that's okay. Nibbles is of course the school hamster. He is actually dead at this point, which is quite unfortunate. He appeared a few times, of course, most notably the one where obviously the Springfield Elementary snowed in, and Skinner sends him to obviously send help. That was pretty cool. There's a few other moments he's had as well. Of course, the one where Bart and Lisa, I think it's Bart, sends him off to try to launch him into space, and he's got his a little wife, and his wife looks like JFK's wife. So that was pretty funny. So they could give us Nibbles as a little non-playable character, but also I think he is a potential for playable, I guess, because he has appeared a few little times, a few little kind of I guess cameos, whatever. But he's appeared a few times, so I guess he could have tasks as well. But I think non-playable I wouldn't really mind too much again. So it would be cool to see Nibbles. Number 5 is Snowball 1. So, of course, we all know who Snowball 1 is. I think this is a perfect contender for a few ones, actually. Possibly a flashback themed. I've talked about that before. A flashback theme event could be good, where they could give us Snowball 1. Possibly Halloween would be good, because, of course, in one of the Halloween episodes, Bart, well, more like Lisa, but Bart and Lisa essentially try and resurrect Snowball 1, but in the process they resurrect everyone, all the dead. So it would be cool if they resurrected Snowball 1 as maybe a final prize. That would be kind of cool, maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, Snowball 1 was pretty cool. I think of course it is the original cat, the one that died, so I definitely want to see Snowball 1 somewhere down the line. Number 4 is, of course, the Gremlin. So how can I not put the Gremlin on the list? Of course, from the original Halloween 2013, 2013 Halloween, as the little tappable character that you could have. Now, what was annoying about this is, of course, the Gremlin was one of the kind of antagonists, if you will, in one of the Treehouse of Horror episodes. So I was expecting them to give us the Gremlin at the end of the event. I think that would have made sense, but they never actually did. They never gave us the Gremlin at the end of the event, and it really annoys me because, of course, they don't have to spend any time or effort. All they have to do is add it as a permanent character. It wouldn't have taken any effort for them to they wouldn't have to design anything. They could have just rehashed the design they already had, the little non-playable character, the little non-tappable. And it's kind of annoying that we can't have the Gremlin, but hey ho, what are you gonna do? But I definitely think he really desperately need to add him. Again, could he have tasks? I mean, maybe. I wouldn't be too bothered really. I would prefer him to be non-playable and just have some cool little animations though, to be honest. So yeah, the Gremlin. Number 3. He's Rose on the list. It's goddamn Pinchy. Now, the only reason I really want Pinchy is what they did with him in Superheroes 2. Of course, in Superheroes 2, he was kind of the main bad guy, in a sense. Obviously, he was trying to wreak havoc. And I think it would have been really, really cool as a final prize, like how they gave us Radioactive Man. Maybe as the final prize, they could have given us Pinchy, but they didn't. I did really want Pinchy, and it's kind of unfortunate we didn't get him, but hey ho, what are you going to do? Yeah, so I really want them to give us Pinchy eventually. I don't know when they could do it. Possibly a food event might be an idea. I've talked about a restaurant sort of food event idea before, a kind of all you can eat idea. And they could give us Pinchy there. That would sort of make sense, I guess. And I was also talking about a Superheroes 3. Maybe it was just a mini event, a mini Superheroes 3, like they gave us the Whacking Day 2016, for example. Just give us a mini, just a mini thing, and then they could just give us throw us in Pinchy. Possibly he could just be non-playable on this tiny little character. But I guess, to be honest, he did have a big role in Superheroes 2, so it would probably be more likely that they'd actually give him tasks. But technically, he kind of is sort of in the game as a decoration, obviously as a skin for one of the factories. He kind of sits there. Yeah, but I'm including him on the list. And the reason I didn't include the Screamer Pillar on this list, of course, the Screamer Pillar was on my last list. I'm not including him now because I'm okay with him being on the koi pond. I don't like the fact that Pinchy is just, this horrible animation. He doesn't look like Pinchy, goddammit. Pinchy's small and cute. Anyway, number 2. Number 2 is the Happy Little Elves, and I've talked about this before as well, I think. Well, I've briefly talked about it. The fact is, again, another Christmas character that really should have been added a long time ago. They should really just give us the Happy Little Elves as Christmas characters. I think they could give us the individual little elves. they could give us like the group of them, and they could all have tasks. Or alternatively, they give us just, like I said, just give us all the little elves individually, and then they're just all non-playable, and then you can tap them and they do little funny things. Or possibly they could be like the pickpockets, the spuckler kids. They could be like they could earn the currency of that event, and then later on they just earn, they just earn cash, like the what's his name, Chippy did, the casino chip. And I'd be happy with that. There's plenty of happy little elves. There's loads of them. They'd be kind of cool. They've already been tappable characters, so now I think they can be playable characters, and they could actually be a big part of the Christmas event, I think. And I think it would make the Christmas event a bit better if they gave us, something more like this. So I definitely really want to see the Happy Little Elves somewhere down the line. I think Christmas is the only update they can really give us them, so they better goddamn give us them in Christmas. And then we have that #1 spot, so can we have that drum roll? I don't know if you could hear that drum roll. It, of course, is the Hounds. How could I not put the Hounds? And it's probably a bit surprising, maybe, to some, that I've put Mr. Burns' Hounds as the #1 spot. But the only reason I put Mr. Burns' Hounds as the #1 spot is because, they're just so relevant. I think, obviously, they are a little gag. That's all they're really meant to be. They're not meant to be, kind of like members of Mr. Burns' family or anything. They are meant to be, essentially, a gag characters. Of course, obviously, Mr. Burns released the Hounds, and of course, Mr. Burns already has a task where he walks the Hounds, so they sort of are in the game already, if you will. But I think what would be cooler is if they gave us them as actual characters. Just the four. I think there's 4 of them altogether. Yeah, I think there's 4 of them. Just the 4 of them in a big group walking around. No tasks. They don't. I think it would be stupid if they gave them tasks. But what I do want is when Mr. Burns does his walk the Hounds task. They'll Mr. Burns will walk to them, and then they'll be included, and maybe they could actually earn a little bit extra money when Mr. Burns does that task. That would be cool. So that's what I'm going with there. I think that they're definitely really necessary. I think that I'm dying to see the Hounds in, because I just think it makes so much sense to give us them. Of course, we've got most of the relevant animals that we need. I just feel the Hounds are the ones that we haven't. They've been seen so many times. Of course, Mr. Burns has released the Hounds many, many times. It's kind of a long-running joke with The Simpsons. So I definitely want to see the Hounds in the actual game. Doing their shit and running around. I think they'd be cool little characters to have. What update could they be added in? I honestly don't have a clue. I was thinking possibly a level update if levels were still here, but they're not. They're long gone at this point. That's unfortunate, but hey, how are you going to do? So I'm not too sure when they could give us them. Possibly some sort of trying to think. Christmas wouldn't work. Halloween wouldn't work. Well, I guess maybe Halloween. I guess it would be a bit weird, but they could always. I guess they gave us Gravedigger Billy, who's technically not a Treehouse of Horror character. I don't know. Thanksgiving wouldn't work. July, 4th of July, nah, it wouldn't work. Valentine's Day definitely wouldn't work. I don't know. See, there isn't really one, but I guess they could. I don't know. Even if it didn't really fit, only if it like Halloween. Even if they gave us them a Halloween, it didn't really fit. It was a bit odd. I still wouldn't mind as long as they had them in the game. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little top 10 list. Tell me your thoughts on who are your top 5 or your top 10 non-playable characters that you want to see. And if you disagree that some of these characters shouldn't be non-playable and should be playable, please do tell me. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next video. Goodbye.